These were scenes of shared grief at a time which really hadn't been seen before on any kind of scale like this. Mal Fletcher is a social commentator and speaks to me now all the way from South Africa. Morning, Mal.
Good morning, Sophie. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for coming on from such a long way. Talk to me about this outpouring of grief, because it really was unprecedented, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, in global terms, really. I mean, I think since the passing of Princess Di, Sophie, we've done two things as a country. We've become slightly less trusting of major public institutions, including the monarchy. And on a more positive note, I think we're less inclined to mistake familiarity with intimacy when it comes to people in the public eye. I mean, in some quarters, the reaction to the princess's death was something like the way we react to the passing of a family member or a very close friend. And yet we really didn't know her. We knew her through the lens of her media image. And we still appreciate her. We still admire her hugely for her compassion, her work, her devotion to her sons. We appreciate the way she tried to humanise the royal family. But I think with the distance of 20 years, we're a bit more aware of the personal struggles she faced. We don't know all the details, don't need to, but we're probably a bit less inclined to mistake a sense of arm's-length familiarity with real intimacy when it comes to someone in the public eye. And I think that's a pretty healthy decision and position for us to take.
Now, nowadays, it's a fairly regular thing to see vigils being held and condolences being shared. Do you think that's a direct result of how the public and how we reacted to Diana, the idea of that British stiff upper lip being kind of shattered?
Yes, possibly. I think too, Sophie, it was in terms of our culture, it was a collective moment of confrontation with our own mortality. I mean, you think about it with a culture which is largely divorced on a week-to-week basis from the reality of death, on a culture-wide basis, I mean. And, I live in a small village in South Oxfordshire, which at its centre has a church. The church is surrounded on three sides by a burial ground. And there was a time in history when people in that village would have to walk past or even through that graveyard on a daily basis. And it served as a reminder that, hey, life is short. We're not the centre of history. We're just part of a longer story. And when someone as young and vibrant and well known as Princess Di suddenly passes away in such a dramatic way, I think it makes us collectively catch our breath. And the same is true in other vigils worldwide. Perhaps we're confronting in a very real way the fact that we're not going to be here forever, that life isn't as long as we like to think it is.
And where were you when the news broke out? Do you remember?
I remember very well, actually, because you just played the voice on the radio that I heard on the BBC. I was living in Copenhagen, Denmark at the time with my family. We were just about to move to the UK, and we heard that on the radio. We heard exactly that announcement, and we were shocked. And people in Northern Europe and Europe generally that we knew were shocked. So it was an event that went way beyond the borders of the UK. It touched so many people on a very human level.
Mal Fletcher, you do get around Copenhagen, South Africa, UK. Pleasure to speak to you this morning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sophie. Great to be with you.